And welcome everybody to Gate to Wire. I'm Bruce Casella along with Dick Jerardi. Danny Gibson has the day off, and we have a very special guest, and it is Terry Finley, the man, the myth, the legend from West Point Thoroughbreds. Hello, Terry. Welcome.
It's always great to, but every time I'm on your show, you bring that up, the man, the myth, and the legend. I don't know. You give me
Yeah, well, you are a legend in our area, that's for sure. And now, of course, all around the thoroughbred world. Terry, you won a big race, the Arkansas Derby, this past week with Sandman. Tell me what that feeling was like.
It was great. I was in Florida and I said, you know what? I don't need to be sitting on my couch in Florida watching the TV to see us win the Arkansas Derby. So I took the trip. I flew to Little Rock and then I went to Hot Springs. And man, it was a good feeling. I felt good. Felt good going in. Obviously, I didn't love the fact that Baffert shipped that really good colt, who actually ran really well. It's a very game effort after those fractions to hold up to be fourth. But anyway, I just thought we were in good shape, and it turned out Oaklawn's a really nice place, and they try so hard, and it really is a destination spot for a lot of Arkansans on the last Saturday of March or the first Saturday of April, depending on the calendar.
Terry, tell us how you ended up with this colt, $1.2 million, just about a year ago at Ocala. Tell us about the sale, what you saw, and what you got.
Yeah, Dick. So interestingly, unfortunately, his breeder passed away at the end of 2003, Bob Lothenbach, who I didn't know, but one, was very successsable, and two, even more important, was very well respected in the industry and never tried to come on. I don't think I didn't see him in an interview at all, but anyway, I know it was a tough blow for the industry to lose a very well respected person like him, and he bred to race, and he always wanted to get to the Derby. And I know his pedigree advisor said, "I love this mare. She's a distorted humor mare. We got to send her to Taplet." And so Sandman was the resulting foal. They were just looking to send him to the races, as they did all of their homebreds. And he passed away, and the estate made the decision to put the horse and the group of horses into the 2-year-old sales. And so we saw him, and all he did was gallop, but he was a big, beautiful, easy moving colt. We love the family. Obviously, we love Tappet. And so Joe Bianca on my team works extensively with John Green of DJ Stable, and they were actually at the sale together, and we were just comparing notes. And so we didn't think he'd bring $1.2 million. I know Rapoli says he was the underbidder, so let's assume that's correct. But when we knew he was going to be aggressive and the hype really started going, I called Vinny Viola. So it ended up being the three of us, and then another a newer partner, CJ Stables, joined in at the end. So it's the four of us. And when you get a good horse, if you're not fighting, it's a great partnership. And we're not fighting, and I wouldn't think anybody's going to fight on this one. So
Now you're on the way to the Kentucky Derby. You've been there before. You had Commanding Curve finishing second, and then, of course, Always Dreaming. So you now to get the job done.
Yeah, it's exciting, and you kind of, you want to act like you've been there before, right? That's what they tell us in sports and in when you're growing up and you're playing athletics, like just act like you've been there before. It's a little different for the Derby because yes, we've been there before, but every year is a new puzzle and a new play. And so I just told my team, let's just do everything we can to cherish these, because look, you might not ever, I'm 61, so right, you might not ever go to the Derby with the first or second choice again. There's a good chance we won't. So I think we've learned, of course, the ways to do it, but we've also learned you got to enjoy the ride. And so the next month will be fun, and we'll all be holding our hearts on our in our throat we don't need any early morning calls from Mark Cassie and all those other things, but we're in a good spot.
Terry, I remember always dreaming very well because you got into that pretty late with Vinny, and West Point got in fairly late. The fact that you're in from the beginning on this one is a little different this time.
It is, Dick. And, actually, it's so cool with Vinny and his wife, Teresa. They've really done a lot of great work. Usually behind the scenes in the industry, they only really came in full time in 2011. We bought our first horse together after Vinny sold the New Jersey Nets, and he jumped in with both feet, and we've had good success. And we had a long conversation last night. We because I got the sheet number. He had a nice progression on Saturday, and he called me right away, and we talked for like an hour and a half. And to have somebody so successful on Wall Street and the military, and now with the hockey team, winning the Stanley Cup, and it's like that's a really cool thing to be like around. And I don't have any problem. He is a great American and just a person of an insane amount of wisdom, and it's just a pleasure and an honor to be around him. And I don't need to stroke him. We already own horses together and we're good friends, but he's a very special person, and it's really great to be able to partner with him. And I was thinking about it, Dick. There aren't that many owners that have won 2 Kentucky Derbies in the history, and that doesn't escape us. Like, that's pretty darn cool.
Terry, how has your business model changed over the years? Now you're getting these big time partners and everything. I mean, I was with you a long time ago, and you didn't have this many these high profile people along with you. How has it changed for you, Terry?
Well, it's added a layer of complexity, Bruce, to the sales, and I'll address the downside first, which we'd like to think we're good partners, and I think we're better partners with outside entities than we were. And you got to learn. Like, look, there's a lot of ego. While you got to partner with the right people, they got to have the right mindset. Like, we don't want to partner with anybody that really thinks they're going to have an impact in the management of the horse. Like, that's got to be the trainer, and it's got to be 100%. And it can't be, well, I just brought up an idea. Well, yeah, you brought up an idea, but you put something in the trainer's mind that he has to be cognizant of, right? Because you bring something up. So there's all kinds of slick ways that I see owners trying to dance around actually getting into the management. So it's no good for us to partner with somebody that wants to have a voice, quote unquote, a voice with the trainer. Obviously, we're all going to collaborate, but when these things work and you get good partners, you're able to get more stock. And we all know it's a numbers game, and you just got to keep rolling. And one thing we don't do is we don't get embarrassed, because it's very easy to get embarrassed. You pay a lot of money for horses. The vast majority of them aren't what we think they're going to be, and for any number of reasons. And if you get embarrassed and you get discouraged, it's easy. You just don't buy horses anymore, and then you have a gaping hole in your program. And what we've been able to do, I think, is to buy on a very consistent basis, whether our stable is going well or it's in a position where it's not going as well as we'd like. So,
Terry, you and West Point have been around some really good horses over the years, but there's no argument about the best one. Flightline, if I have it right, we have yearlings this year. What are they looking like so far? They'll be heading to the sales and to the racetrack next year.
Yeah, Dick. Well, I remember us sitting at the Preakness and we were talking, because I was already washed out a Preakness day waiting for the Met Mile that day, but we had a really great lunch catching up on all the old times. But yeah, he's got yearlings. I know Boyd Browning is over the moon excited with that first group, and I would think he's been at it a long time as the president of Fasig-Tipton, so you can imagine that there'll be some real strong foals by Flightline at that September sale. So everybody's excited, and let's see. We know a lot of stallions. right? Many are called, but few are chosen. So we're hoping he's one of those that are called.
Well, you mentioned Tappan a little bit ago, and it's interesting that your Arkansas Derby winner is by Tappan. You said you like Tappan. Of course, Tappan, the sire of the
Yeah.
great white line. How great a racehorse was he, Terry? And would you, and I know I asked you this at that previous, how much would you have loved to have been able to race him? And we understood why you couldn't race him as a 5-year-old. How cool would it have been to be at the
Yeah, it
2 mile?
would have been great. I mean, you think back to the Seabiscuit, and obviously Secretariat, and I never really got caught into that trap of publicly, and I mean, comparison is a drainer of joy. I think there's a more eloquent way to say that. I think somebody famous had said, but it derives you of joy to constantly be thinking about comparisons. That being said, I think it would have been great to kind of put together a plan for 2023 to take him across the country and to showcase him, because he was what we when we think about our athletes that and our sporting world, which is a big part of the American scene, and when you have like sheer brilliance, it moves you in ways that you don't realize. And to see that many people, I'll give you a quick one. I remember when he won and he came back to the winner's circle, usually like at the Derby and other big races, like you'll look out, you're in the winner's circle, and we haven't been in I think we've won 25 grade ones, which are all very special, but you look out and everybody's gone or they're trying to bet the next race. And that day at Keeneland, you had as many people on the apron and in the grandstands, to watch the winner's circle as you did before the race. And that was one of the things that just has stuck with me, thinking about those, because you think about the Seabiscuit story and they filmed that at Keeneland. And
Yep.
so I had those visions in my mind. It's like, just gives you chills.
Getting back to Sandman, he's in Churchill now, and the trainer is Mark Cassie. Tell me why Mark Cassie? Why does he fit this horse?
Yeah, so well, the DJ gang, Len Green and John, they work together. Len is a statesman in our business and has helped so many people. And they've had Mark, so it was just an obvious. He's a dynamic guy. He's in a dual Hall of Famer. He's in the Hall of Fame in Kentucky or in Canada, as well as in the National Museum, the Hall of Fame up in Saratoga. So aren't very many people. I think there might be a couple, but he's a thinker. And I think this is as good of a job as he's done, because we ran this horse 5/8 of a mile at Churchill in his first start, and he was well bet. And he got to the quarter pole and he plummeted to the back. And we actually had another horse that won the race that Dale Romans trains, but I could see he never got rattled. I mean, Mark doesn't get rattled, and he's constantly thinking. And he determined that this colt was going to really flourish with more activity. So the Arkansas Derby was his 8th start. So we're not going to have if we get beat in the Derby, we're not going to have the excuse he didn't have enough seasoning.
Would you like to see those same fractions you saw in Arkansas in Kentucky, Terry?
I would. And actually, I was just walking around, stall walking at Oaklawn, and I saw McQuett, who I've become friends with over the years. And first thing he said to me, he said, "I'm going, trust me. I'll be on the lead." I said, "Go on with it, big boy." So it was, and he's a very straight talking guy. So I knew Bejarano was not going to take back. And when I saw, like, before that duel ensued, I saw Johnny V, and he was intent on getting the lead. So I said, as they went into the turn, I said, I hope they're still kind of locked onto each other as they turned down the backside, and they were. So we had some smiles on our faces as they went into the far turn.
Terry, on another subject, I know you're a big Eagles fan, and we got it done with the Super Bowl this year. Did you get a chance to go to the bowl this year?
No, actually, my wife and I, we went to Arizona when we got beat to by the Chiefs, and so we watched it, but it was really good, and uh, we're blessed. We come and we live or we've come from a great place to grow up and a great place to live and a great sports town. And I have to hold my tongue when I'm around the country and people, they react to the Philly fan. I said, come on, man, give us a break. There's a lot of caring people that love their sports and are passionate about it. So I'm always saying to people, lighten up on the Philly fan, because they're good people overall for the most part. But it was good. I mean, we were all walking around, very, very proud after they got the job done in the big one.
Terry, I don't get to see you that much anymore, but I used to do all your video work for you, and I know that you're the best video producer you ever had working for you, right?
You are, and I was talking to my son Ryan, and he said to say hello, by the way.
He's in Nashville, right?
He just moved to Nashville, but we've had a lot of good times together, and I appreciate you guys. Every week you got a good show, and that I'd like to think we got plenty of issues that we got to work on in the business, in our industry. But one thing that I think we can be proud of is just the amount of hours that we're on TV covering our business in some way or shape or form. But we also got podcasts and everything. It's a business that communication and analysis and discussion and opinions really go over well, because that's what our game is about, right? Opinions. And we always get a chance to see who's right and the people who are wrong as a result of the finish line.
Well, Terry, Dick and I have really tried hard to keep this show alive in the Philadelphia market. I'm sure there's not too many shows like Let's Go Racing around the country. And we also do the Pennsylvania Derby. We do a 2-hour. This year, I think we're going to go 2.5 hours for the PA Derby show on NBC Sports Philadelphia. And we also have the Cotillion and several other stakes races on. But it's tough to keep these things alive. But we do, and we need to promote the sport. And I think that's important.
Yeah, it is. And I can tell you with total clarity and honesty, as he galloped out, of course, I was thinking about the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown, but I was also thinking, trust me, there's the Pennsylvania Derby's in my top 5, but I would love to come back to Ben Salem and to get the job done with a Derby winner. Wouldn't that be great? I know you see Smarty Jones in the background, and you see him, in the Hall of Fame, which he should have been in sooner, obviously. But Delaware Valley is a great place for racing overall. We know that, right? And so we'd love to bring Sandman to Parks and to get the job done in a couple months.
And Terry, for the people that don't know, you grew up how far from Parks?
I think about 12 miles. Levittown, the great town of Levittown. But it's a super area. It really is. And while we probably don't have as many fans of the racing business as we used to, I think we have more passionate fans, because everywhere I go, and in Florida, there's a lot of Philly people, and I'll see people with Eagles shirts on the boardwalk in the town we live, Hollywood Beach, and we always talk, and we're always talking about, and inevitably I talk about horses, and the vast majority of people have been to Parks and other places around the Delaware Valley.
Well, we wish you all the best in Kentucky, and we'd love to see you in September. And by the way, you're probably aware of this, but there is a $50,000 bonus for the owner and the trainer of any horse that wins any of the three Triple Crown races, or the Haskell, or the Travers. Wayne Lucas picked up 50 last year for Seize the Gray. So a little added bonus to come to the PA Derby, come back home in September, Terry.
So I got to ask a question. Is it cash or a check?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Any way you can work it out.
I'm sure management will do whatever you would like if you bring the Derby and or the Preakness and or the Belmont Travers or Haskell winner. They'd be thrilled to see you.
Good races.
Sandman.
Yeah.
Harry, come get the money, buddy.
Absolutely. I like this horse too. We didn't get a chance to talk about, and I know we're biased, but there's something about a horse like this. They just carry themselves with like a lot of confidence, but not arrogance. If that makes any sense. We've been around, and these Tappets can be tough, really tough mentally, and he's the furthest thing from it. So I don't know. I think he has a shot to be a special horse, but we'll see.
It would give Mark a career Triple Crown, right? He's got a Preakness and he's got a Belmont.
Exactly.
They helped like Kenny last year. Kenny got his career Triple Crown last year.
He sure did. Yep.
That'd be cool. My man, you're the best. We appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
Dick. My pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate you coming on, and best of luck with Sandman.
All the best, Bruce.